Hello friends and all those who follow this channel from all parts of the world. Welcome for this video cast. We need to have some little session or cast on the youth. And so I pray that you can be able to listen in closely as you watch and share, subscribe. Whenever you can, share with as many people as you can if you find this channel helpful. Now, in the year 2021, that is 2021, a young man hammered his brother to death. He really crushed his car to death. And so when he went to prison, the remand prison before he was sentenced, the father also joined him for illicit brewing. And so the young man used to be the father in the compound of the remand and the prison, where he would cry his eyes out and asks the father for forgiveness. And the dad would quite often, talk to him, encourage him. So the dad would go pick some food, share with him, go back, get more food and share with the young man because he was really suffering. So that's the joy of a parent. Okay? Again, in 2015, a young man was betrothed to a young lady and they had dated for like 3 years, right? But one day when they went out in town, just out and about for, I think it was a stroll, or do we call it a jaunt? He met his friend, and when they entered into a restaurant for some coffee, the young lady got attracted to this friend. They shared contacts, and later she started seeing this man. So the young man was surprised that the girlfriend was no longer interested in him. What happened is that when he came to find out, he realized that she went to the man and fell in love with this friend of his because he was more moneyed. That was the end of the relationship. Okay? I'll give you another scenario, another case in point. If today you visited the industrial area prison of Kenya, if you went to Shimolatewa, if you went to Kamiti, where I've been privileged to visit, oftentimes for talks, one of the things that will surprise you or shock you is that you realize that 50% of the inmates in the Kenyan prisons, I don't know about other parts of the world, are young people between the ages of 17 and 30 years. Okay? In Africa, 57% of crimes, especially in Kenya, they are reported to the police and have been committed by young people between the ages of 17 and 27 years. According to the Institute of Economic Affairs Youth Compendium of 2011, these cases are rising. That is from 57% onwards to 60-62%. They are rising because now in 2022 you realize crime reported to the police associated with young people is rising. The UN Habitat Report, when it reports about Kenyan youth and juvenile delinquency, says that 47% of the youth arrested have been arrested because of theft. Okay, that is between 45 and 47%. UN Habitat report. Then for assault, 23% of the youth have been arrested for that. And due to possession of drugs, we have had 10% of the youth arrested by police. For mugging, we've had 10% of youth arrested, and then for manslaughter and murders, 7%. All right, now in Africa, you realize that all this has been a result of some acts of commission or omission on the part of parents. And in Africa, we've had, by and large, severe parents. We call it dysfunctional parenting. I can actually link it with dysfunctional parenting. Most parents in Africa are severe parents. At some point, we'll talk about in the future, or maybe in the next cast, we'll talk about types of parenting. And then again, you also have overindulgent parents in Africa. We also have over-permissive parents in Africa. And this has resulted to what I've been able to talk to you about, in terms of stats, the UN Habitat Report. All right? And so most of the crimes committed by young people in Africa are crimes of, things to do with burglary, murders, housebreaking, teenage rape, okay, shoplifting, drugs, all that, okay, muggings, and as I said, we can actually be able to conclude based on the type of parenting that the young people have been able to go through. A case scenario in the United States, according to a report, if you look at the report of 2018 in the United States, 192,000 serious crimes were committed by young people between the age of 17, okay, to 12 years. That is 12 to 17 years. And again, what I can say is that we also had cases of robbery with violence, possession of weapons, and then of course other crimes. Then if you studied the UK, you also had other cases like those of robbery with violence, possession of weapons, all that. Now, these scenarios, we can be able to deduce that by and large, juvenile delinquency and other crimes associated with juveniles are associated with dysfunctional parenting, whether it is of indulgent parenting due to affluency, whether it is of a protective parent where the youth feel kind of choked and where they are not able to find their own freedom. And so when they find a little space for some freedom, then they go experiment out there, and bad things begin to happen in their lives. So in Africa, we are no different from that. I've given you statistics. And so today, allow me to talk about this topic. What is wrong with the young people? Well, I think joy in life for the young people can only be found in positive values, not things. All over the world, parents are failing because in this millennia, they are overindulging or they are overindulgent, and they are giving young people things than themselves. Because it is of paramount importance that even as young people grow, even as they begin to realize and understand themselves, we need to start giving them us than the things that we give them. But sometimes, especially in Africa, because of poverty, when parents begin to taste money, exposure to money and good jobs, they begin to try and forget or to drown the frustrations of the past in poverty by overindulging or being over-permissive. And so the things they give the young people as they chase money do not instill the right positive values in these young people. The young people start finding themselves in a lot of trouble. Okay? Positive values is what makes an individual. Good values are what make a person. And so we need to invest more on positive values. Things like forgiveness, self-control, things like long-suffering, patience, hard work, right? Charity, right? God, as a value, because we can't throw God out of the window. And some of the consequences of bad life is because we have thrown God out of the window, literally, okay? As I talked about, as I mentioned earlier about dysfunctional parenting, the parenting hiccups can be associated with a lot of juvenile delinquency. And even in young adults, We've had clueless young adults. We've had young adults who don't love people but love things. Even when they date, they don't love the young people they are dating. They love the things they own because they want to have these things for themselves. That is what I usually call meism. That is the me, my, and mine syndrome. Right? Allow me to a little bit belabor on absentee parents. And in this case, I want to talk about absentee fathers. Right. Some of the things that are shocking today is to realize that fathers have gone to purely provision, and in the light of that, has absconded or forgone other duties of a father, like priesthood in the home, like authority, like guidance for proper values, manners, and other things that make an individual. And so what absentee parenting is doing, it is snatching away the parents from the young people from the very tender age of months, when they're infants, before they become adults. And so even as they grow, there's no one to instill discipline, no one to tell them about God, no one to tell them about money, no one to tell them about forgiveness, about long-suffering, about all these values that are important. Young people are growing and adult becoming when they are so confused people. All right? Absentee parenting is one of the major contributors of what is wrong with the young people. Okay, friends, allow me to talk also about untrained parenting. We have parents who are now untrained, because even as they become parents, before they get married, they are also products of untrained people. The young people are now becoming adults and parents who do not have a clue and who have not been mentored. So, friends, I think it is important to consider these things even as we get towards part 2 of this cast. If you go back to the Bible, you realize that when God created the man and woman, both male and female created He, we see the man as the leader. Even when it comes to parenting, the man is the leader of the home. He asserts authority besides provision. He is the priest. He is the bearing holder. He is the security. And of course, even wives want security in men. They want to feel secure with these men. If these men were not brought up accordingly, then they'll also become parents who cannot mentor or who cannot instill these things, or who become irresponsible for that matter. Great friends, this is exactly what is wrong with the young people. They've had no mentors, no direction at all. And it is said that if you sail to nowhere, then you'll never get lost. Or do I say, if you sail to nowhere without a compass, you can never get lost, because a man sailing to nowhere, anywhere does. Okay. Parents have resorted to workaholism. They have resorted to churchaholism, or do I call hyper-spiritualism, where every available moment they use it to go to church and pray, or for caches, or for music, and forgo other duties that make young people, that prepare these young people for life, prepare them for the stamina, prepare them to have shock absorbers for life, because life has a lot of shocks and all that. We also have alcoholism, because absentee parenting, okay, sometimes after work, the parents are not going to, they're not going home. After work, they rush to the bars, they rush for entertainment, they rush to see friends, they rush to watch football. Because, after all, I'm providing for you, I'm giving you anything you need. What else do you need? That's the question. And so the young people are beginning to feel so empty, so lost. And so the only way to balance off the frustrations and the emptiness is from movies and social media and peers. By the way, even when they get into Google to study, for those who try to study, you realize that even in Google, what is happening, sometimes everybody is posting stuff. There's no filtering in Google. You can find literally anybody posting stuff. So young people are getting lost in the process. And so when they begin to study and research without filtering, which is also, quality, then they get lost in the process. Parents, the curse of single parenthood, emanating from all sorts of things, from lack of training that it's good to have a partner for life, and so one becomes a single parent, whether a single father or a single mother, has had a curse. Do I call it single parenting curse? Or where people just want to divorce left, right, and center without valid reason, because biblically divorce is allowed, by the way, and that's a topic for another day, under certain circumstances. So when people separate or divorce without valid reasons, then it becomes a curse. If somebody had married 2 wives before they saw the light, and so they divorced because of the light, then that one also becomes a curse, which affects the young people in some sort of a way. From these statistics, friends, from the data that I've shared with you, I think it is important to know where the rain begins to beat us. What do we need to do? What do we need to do to prepare the young people for the future? What do we need to do to make the world a better place? What do we need to do to make life better, enjoyable, more fulfilling, and purposeful for these young people? Because joy can only be found in a fulfilled life that is purposeful. And success will not be found in things, people. Success will only be found in consistency of purpose, in proper values, proper practices, in proper upbringing. That is where we can find joy. And we need to begin to tell young people that success is not really what they've been thinking it is. Success and joy is not in things, it is in people. And in people, it is in the values that they hold dear. That is what matters in life. Good values is good life. Bad values are bad life. And God began by putting all the responsibility of parenting in the family. It begins from the family, and then the church, and then the world at large. So parents have a hoping task of making sure that the young people are in the proper mindset, are with the proper values, so that the world becomes habitable. Now this is part 1. Now in part 2 of the cast, I'll be looking at the feministic crusades. Have they had an impact on young people? What about church that has had no teaching, church without teachings? How about neutral value schools? How about school without lessons or bad curriculum, where mean scores are more exaggerated, or they are more emphasized than values? What are the outcomes of this? So in the part 2 of this cast, because this was an intro, I'm going to talk about these things. So keep locked, keep on the screens, keep on the channel, and let's see what happens, my friends. Good luck.